Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the stream. It's Monday. What am I doing here? Well, some work. Hello, it is 10:30 a.m. That's also astonishing, really, on the 15th of March. And I am here to do some work because I felt like it. I think basically any time I'm about to do some work that I feel like I could stream, I'm now like, well, why don't I just stream it? Because I might as well. So today we're going to be working on my presentation for the PhD showcase that I volunteered to give a presentation at, because I'm a fool. I am a fool. And also I wanted to do it. I mean, wanted is a strong word. It is an opportunity that will allow me to practice skills that I need in order to pass my PhD, because I have to give a viva, and I'm chronically socially anxious. So yeah, I'm going to be working on that. The presentation is on the 7th of April, so I've got a few weeks, but I wanted to start working on it now, so that I'm not rushing it towards the end. And I have discovered this morning that I have a lot more work than I thought I did. So I've talked before that my plan was to take the initial write-up that I did and just use that basically as the text for my presentation. So the very first thing I did, which I did this morning, was I basically performed my initial write-up aloud, and I had a timer going to see how long it was, and my thinking was then, okay, I find out how much over or under I am, and I can cut it or adjust as I need to. Now, the presentation I'm being asked to give is 10 minutes long, and this 29:17 you can see here is how long it took me. And that is without doing a whole bunch of things I need to. I didn't introduce myself. I didn't describe any of my slides because I don't know what they are yet. Basically, I'm at the point where I don't think cutting it down will work. I think I need to rewrite entirely, but based on that, basically. I need to use that as my source for all of the ideas, but then put a whole new thing together. So that's what I'm going to do today. I've also got the slides for if we get to doing slides, but who knows whether I'll get to doing slides. I spent a lot of time looking for a nice layout for slides as well, and I'm quite pleased with the one I've got. It's very pretty. But yeah, so that's the plan. In terms of stuff I've done since the last time I saw you, which was only Friday, I finished reading Video Games and Wellbeing because it was so good. I kept reading it through the weekend. Oh no, I saw you on Saturday because I streamed on Saturday. I've got to stop streaming when I'm not scheduled to. It's confusing me. No, I want to do this. I want to stream more. This is awesome. I enjoy this thing, and Twitch is super important to me, and I want to do it more. Yeah. So yeah, I just finished the book. I only had 2 or 3 chapters left. It was really interesting, and it's done. It's great. Woo! I've also sort of vaguely started. I had a load of books that I got that are not directly relevant, but are peripherally interesting / useful, and I've started trying to just sort of read those in my free time as well. So because I think I won't feel able to put them in main work time, because but I think these are also things I really enjoy reading, because I really like reading illness narratives, so and general theory around them and psychology and stuff, so I've put that all in that list. But otherwise we're still working to Oh no. Oh no. There we go. We're still working to doing the amount of work that we're happy with. So we'll see how long I'm working for today. I don't know, until I'm happy with it. I might have to at some point like put my desk up to standing because my back is hurting, which I've really only just noticed, but it's quite painful. So we'll see. I have tested that I can put my desk up with all of the cables. I do have to help one of the cables. I have to elevate something slightly so that the cable doesn't like... I've got a lot of stuff on my desk. You can't see it. This is the hilarious thing about streaming, is that you always have like these lovely, like you just see the person and maybe a chair and maybe a microphone and either a lovely background or nothing, as you're seeing with me because there's a green screen behind me. But it is chaos. I've tidied it all, but it's still chaos. I've got 3 lamps, 2 monitors. I've got a microphone stand here, which is what I put my overhead camera on. Yeah, it's all chaos here. But speaking of chaos, let's go to... There we go. So this is my write-up. This is my initial write-up. I'm just going to put this on here for a second, just to remind you that in my initial write-up, there is some discussion of death by suicide, and there is some discussion of psychosis and auditory hallucinations and general abuse, not super specific. There's also spoilers for various things. So just to remind you, that's there. And in fact, I'm gonna create a new one anyway. So this is my presentation, and actually I'll just put PhD showcase for presentation or first year, in case I do like a second year showcase or something. And what I will do, which is the awesome thing you can do in Scrivener. That isn't what I meant to do. I wanted... There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Like, did not want to copy it over. So I think basically I just need to write this presentation from scratch, but then using information from this. I've got a couple of goals that will require me to put slightly less information in. One of them is I want to make sure that any text in my slides is spoken aloud and any images are described. That was something that I saw in a welcome collection event that I went to recently. All of the speakers described themselves, they described any images and stuff they had up, and it was just really a really lovely accessibility thing that I want to help normalise. So that's something I want to do. But, you know, I also don't want it to feel super intrusive either to the people who don't need that help or to the people who do need it. I don't, you know, they want my information. They don't want me to spend 20 years describing the borders around my slides. So they're nice borders though. But yeah, so I think I love this intro for a written point of view, but I don't think it's just so long. Like, I think this in itself was probably 5 minutes. So I'm gonna have to like gently say goodbye to it. Maybe the thing to do is to just do it bullet point form first of all and think about exactly what I want to say. And and also to give me an idea of how long I have for each thing, because I've got a lot of forms, and I'm kind of wondering whether it's better to structure it around the themes instead. This is the same issue as I have with the thesis as a whole. So we need an introduction. We need this not to be underlined. We need introduction to me, introduction to my thesis. Oh, should I change? Hold on. I'll change to the less noisy keyboard for you. Which I think wants charging. So I'm sorry if it pings before I manage to plug it in. Okay. So an introduction to me, an introduction to my thesis. Then I can either go. So this is the structure that this has right now. Is graphic novels, I may have just written fan somewhere randomly in this. Fan fiction, artist books, video games, interactive and visual novels, role-playing games? Yeah. So I can either do it like that, or I can go immersion, interactivity, multi-sensory. Fuck are my other themes? Where's Notion? No, that's it. That's the main ones. Technological development. Impact. Yeah, so I can either go through and give a brief summary of each form, or I can go through the themes and reference the forms in the themes, and I think actually that's probably the better way to do it. I like how my captions capitalized the themes. Not done it this time. Oh, it's done. It has done it. Isn't that just how I'm saying it? Or is... I don't know what's going on. So, okay, let's think about if I was going to do it this way, what points would I want to make about each of them? So I know with interactivity, a point I want to make is agency gives ownership over experience. That's something that's been in a lot of the video game stuff I've been reading, that by having the being interactive with something gives you a deeper connection to the experience because you own it and you have agency over it. Then there is the physical dimension. Whenever you interact physically with something rather than just cognitively, it has an effect on how you remember it. Like it makes the memory stronger. Which I'd need to get citations for because I know I've got them somewhere. I'm just sort of gesturing in the direction of my notebooks. Somewhere in there, I've got something about that. So agency giving ownership, physical dimension and memory, improves immersion. Where are my notes? Because I know I've just been reading a ton about this. Oh, there's a good quote. The actions of the narrative are owned by the player, so I can use that one for Oh, there's a thing to talk about under immersion is flow state. Do I want to talk about perma? Oh, that's positive psychology though. That's the stuff that's disputed. Identity development under immersion as well. This is just me going through all these notes. Alright, so what else have I got in here that I can then reference? I think also I also want to think of not sub-themes but also examples. So for an immersion example we can have virtual reality. Page numbers. I'm just gonna write page numbers and I know what reference that's gonna be. Interactivity, how does fanfiction fit into these themes? Oh, I've been slowly writing things up here. Okay, connection between more direct connection in fan fiction. I don't know what that means. Reader access to key themes in fan fiction, i.e. the fact that you can browse by tag rather than like searching for just genre or whatever. Then responsibility in artists' books. I still can't type on this keyboard. Ability to simulate symptoms. Hellblade E. I suppose under technology we can mention virtual reality potentially as well. Obviously I won't do both. Or it might be a stray like reference. I want to mention interactive novels under technology because I think that's a big one. Impact, we can mention that Hellblade study. And bad role-playing games. Bad video games will be mentioned under Impact, under the Hellblade Impact as well. Interactivity, I can potentially mention the Cerebrum Project example. I want to mention comics under multisensory as well, because I think it's not necessarily intuitive that comics are multisensory. Fanfiction safe space. In technology, I can actually talk about the AO3, because that's actually an example of technological development improving the specific thing I'm highlighting, right? Doopadoo. What else have we got to reference in here that is about the multisensory nature of it? I think I can... Variety of artists' books forms. Because, like, I handled some artist books that were literally chainmail, and there was... it was like an... was it a heart? Oh no, it was a tumour caged in chainmail. And then there was another one that was a blanket that sort of folded over like a book. Yeah. And then we could potentially, under interactivity, mention branching limited possibilities. We can mention depression, quest, lack of choice. I'm not necessarily going to do all of these. I'm mostly putting them there so I've got options. I'm going to get rid of this as well because I think it's clear that we're going to do it this way. What else have we got? Have we got anything else from... The thing is that I think multisensory is almost like a part of immersion. It's kind of like a sub-theme, isn't it? Because it's like... But no, immersion doesn't necessarily require the multisensory aspect because not everything is. That's interesting. Interested in the relationship between those themes. Sorry, I just got an email telling me about all of the workshops I could go to. How to be less busy. What? Introduction to Python. Oh, lovely. Business email skills. Excel part 3. No. These are not things that I am interested in attending, thank you. Maybe I'll just leave it there for now, because that's a lot, actually. In order to... Hang on just a second, I need to cough. I'm fine, I promise, it's just the morning. And my throat does this in the morning. Hey, Rafi. Yeah, that's true, yeah. It's just amusing to me that they're sending that to PhD researchers. Oh, you're doing a PhD, would you like to be less busy? How about don't do a PhD? There you go, my advice to all of you. If you'd like to be less busy, don't do a PhD. But yeah, no, I think it's a good, like, there's a bunch of ways you could interpret it, right? It could be how to not overwork, for example, or that sort of thing. But yeah, okay, let's how do I want to conclude as well? I could identify potential problems. I think that feels like a good thing to do. But then if I use the end of the presentation to identify problems, I worry that that might make people focus on the problems in the Q&A afterwards. Because I haven't been sent the full format yet, but my understanding is it's like 10 minutes of presentation and then 5 minutes of questions for each person. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't want to. I think ending with impact is actually a nice thing to end on. So, and I think also I want to put interactivity before immersion. Yeah. And I think I might highlight gaps in research here. So in video games especially, there's a historical bias in academic research towards, and you'll be familiar with this as someone who is familiar with games, anyone who's familiar with games will, that a lot of the research is based on all of the reasons that video games are terrible for you. And there's a bias in research towards that because that's the research that's been getting funded and stuff. And there's a really strong push now and in the last like 5 to 10 years in video games studies to get people to be talking about the ways in which games are beneficial and good for you, or even just neutral, like just a neutral analysis of how games work and their effect and that sort of thing. So I think that's a good thing to end on, because it also does the work of positioning my research within the wider there's a word for this, there's a specific word. Academy. That's the word that my PhD application used anyway, in the questions I was asked to fill in. Like something like what... Oh, excuse me, it's medication time. Yeah, I know, thanks. Excuse me whilst I go through my entire box of all of my medications. Because there's quite a lot of them. Alright. I'm gonna attempt to write an elevator pitch introduction to me and my thesis now. Do you think I can open my presentation with, "Hello, I'm Rebecca, and my PhD is an excuse to read comics, play video games." I'm gonna do it. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm definitely not gonna get all of these in. Basically the reason I'm doing this presentation, the reason this came about, is I got an email to all the first year PhD students that said, "Hey, we're doing the annual first year PhD student showcase. Would anyone like to present for 10 minutes on their thesis?" It can be anything you want. It can be like current questions you have, or it can be an overview of your whole thesis. Cat hair. Microphone. I'm never going to get all the cat hair off the microphone. I'm not sure why I'm trying. So I emailed this person back and was like, "Hi, I'd love to present on my thesis. Here's what I'm doing. It's probably best if I give an overview of it because it's, not very standard." And the immediate, I got a reply within like an hour going, "Yes, this is fantastic. This is exactly the sort of thing we want people to present on." And I think it's because it's weird, and I think that's going to happen a lot. I think I'm going to have a lot of times where I'm like, "Hey, I'm doing this thesis on mental illness and video games." Not just video games, but here we go. Yeah. Especially because so what happens with people who are doing medical humanities is that for the most part, with the exception of a couple of places that now have actual medical humanities departments, you are mostly attached to a different subject, like the one that you most align with, or in my case, the one where your supervisor is and you already were, because that's really why I ended up there, because I could have been in a few places. So I'm in the School of English, so everyone else is going to be presenting things like, yeah, I'm looking into Shakespeare's late works and how he explored the question of mortality, and I'm going to rock up and go, I want to know why video games can make you experience psychosis. So I'm gonna stand out. So places that have medical humanities departments established, I'm not sure. So in the UK, Durham has a really strong medical humanities basis, and Glasgow does as well, but I think Glasgow's is just a network. I don't know if Durham's is just a network as well. In the US, in the US, the research is quite, that I'm familiar with, is quite strongly on narrative medicine, which is part of the medical humanities but slightly different. But yeah, if you have a look around, you'll find a bunch of places. New York is where a lot of the strong medical humanities focus is, partly because I'm going to get the name of the university so I can tell you it correctly. Because Professor Sharon, who created narrative medicine basically, is at Columbia University in New York. So it's there's like around her there's quite a strong but I don't know how they're organized structurally. Every university is organized differently. My university just reorganized, so it also changes constantly. I was in the Department of Humanities. I'm now in the Department of Arts and Humanities, which also now includes architecture, which I genuinely think is because they went, right, we're rejigging, we're, combining these departments. Where do we put architecture? They draw things, that's an art, right? No offense to people doing architecture. I actually think architecture is like really impressive and difficult, because my experience of architecture is building homes in The Sims, and I'm not very good at it. Anyway, hello, I'm Rebecca, and I am using my PhD as an excuse to play video games, read comics, and write fan fiction. Yes. I have to stand up and say this in front of an unknown quantity of people. I just it's funny now. It's an icebreaker. It's an icebreaker. It's gonna help. It's I've got like 3 weeks to change my mind. I actually feel like what I want to do is I want to open like that, and then I want to, so this is my, for anyone who's not been here, on the right, we've got my initial write-up, and yes, I'm really interested in the interaction with fan studies, because I'm looking at fan fiction as part of this. This is my initial write-up that I've worked on for the first 6 weeks of my PhD, just to bring all of my ideas together in an initial contained form, partly to help my supervisors, because they're not familiar with all of the forms I'm looking at. And this, I'm really proud of this intro that I wrote, but even the intro alone is like 5 minutes long. So what I'm thinking is this. I'm going to have that slightly comedic introduction, and then I'm going to use some of this. So I'm going to have something like, hello, I'm Rebecca, and I'm using my PhD as an excuse to play video games, read comics, and write fan fiction. I'm also trying to express my severe and chronic mental illness. Like, you know, that sort of thing. I definitely think I'm a lot funnier than I am. It's quite dark humour. I don't know what the crowd's like either. It's also going to be on Zoom, so I'm not going to see any of the reactions anyway. It's gonna all be in the timing. I'm gonna have to, yeah, like I might as well do whatever I want. I can just do whatever I want here, because yeah. Yeah, it's my presentation, exactly. I'm going to do it how I want to. And I think, because I'm... Oh, thank you, Rafi.
GM Rafi cried X100 happy tears. I wish you the best. I have to serve lunch to my ill partner now, but I'll be back.
I hope
my
you feel
best.
better. Thank you. It's lovely to see you again. Thank you for the bits. That was quite loud, wasn't it? I might have to turn the volume down on my alerts. Actually, let me do that now, because otherwise I'll forget to. Blah, 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 blah. No, not alert box themes. The actual alert box. General settings. Is there a general? No. So that was bits. Sound volume. Let's say that was 80%. So let's say 60%. And I've got that on donations as well. Okay, that's already down to cool. Right, that's that sorted out. Actually, I think I'm about to explain that anyway. I don't think I need that. My introduction to me and my thesis has turned out to be very short. Yeah, I then want something like... My PhD thesis explores a selection of media forms that I believe can show you what it's like to live like I do. Media that is, and then I'm going to use this bit from here. Media that is immersive enough to make you feel like me. Interactive enough to make you act like me. And multisensory enough to make it believable. Media that can connect you so deeply to my experience that you feel, for a short while and in a safe way, like you are living it. This can't convey the experience of typing. This can't convey the experience of illness entirely. You still remain fundamentally yourself. But it comes a lot closer than just listing how symptoms work. Today I am going to give you themes I am looking at and how they relate to my media forms. Okay, I'm just going to try reading this aloud. I also want to test how long this takes to say, just so I've got a general example of what I'm working with time-wise. With my handy timer. Speech. Why does this feel more nerve-wracking? I've just read all of this out. But something about performing it feels weird. Okay. Hello, I'm Rebecca, and I'm using my PhD as an excuse to play video games, read comics, and write fanfiction. I'm also looking for a way to express my severe and chronic mental illness. Because if there's one common theme amongst people with mental illness, it's that we're all desperately struggling for ways to explain ourselves to others. I can explain my symptoms to you in isolation, but that doesn't tell you what it feels like to have those symptoms, and it definitely doesn't tell you what it's like to have those symptoms every day for your entire life. My PhD thesis explores a selection of media forms that I believe can show you what it's like to live like I do. Media that is immersive enough to make you feel like me, interactive enough to make you act like me, and multisensory enough to make it believable. Media that can connect you so deeply to my experience that you feel, for a short while and in a safe way, like you are living it. Now, this can't convey the experience of illness entirely. You still remain fundamentally yourself, but it comes a lot closer than just listing how symptoms work. So today, I'm going to give you an overview of the themes I'm looking at and how they relate to my media forms. I didn't start the timer. It just says 0. That's fine. I'm pleased with it. It works. The experience of my illness was the one thing that I wanted to do. Yeah, maybe 2 minutes, but that's a fifth of my time. 10 minutes is nothing. To be fair, I think the last time I tried to give a 10-minute presentation, it was half an hour long. So, this is a problem that I have. Yeah, I understand now why people talk really, because I was trying to actively not talk really fast. Because I don't want to do that in the actual presentation itself. I actually want to speak slower than I do when I'm normally speaking. If you see what I mean. Because I think it's easier to, especially in a format where people aren't able to pause me, think about what I've said and then resume. I want to make sure I'm taking my time with my speech. All right. My God, we've been here 45 minutes already. Okay. Right, let's have a think. Right, where's the thing I want to cite? Oh, no, don't put that on the other keyboard. That's going to cause some problems. I had that really nice quote. Where was the really nice quote? Okay. Perhaps the most important theme in my research is interactivity. I want to start with that thing about physical dimension and memory. So have to remember where the fuck that was. I'm gonna actually open my dissertation because I think it's somewhere in here. Excuse me while I just search for this. Oh, I'm sure. Maybe it's in one of the bits I didn't leave in the final version. That's about linearity. I'm gonna cry just reading. Just reading bits of my dissertation. Is it in the stash? It might be in the stash. Okay, I can't find it. I think it's in the next place to search is my Zotero, and hope that I had already digitized these notes. I think I digitized all of my dissertation notes. It sort of looks like it. So if I search under everything for physical, There's a load of bits on diegesis that are bringing up the word physical. It's definitely not going to be in Arto. I don't think it's going to be in this thing in Damn it. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for being here and take care. It was lovely to talk to you. This is really annoying me. I know I've read about this. Who the fuck is it? So I've got stuff on Bleed, but it's not the stuff on Bleed. I do talk about physical stuff there, but yeah. Anyway, I can't find it. So I'm just gonna talk about it unsighted. It's only a presentation. I need to find where that is for my actual thesis, but perhaps the most important theme in my research is interactivity. The moment you start interacting directly, actively with something, rather than passively consuming, like with standard books or films, your memory of the interaction, experience of the interaction is heightened. Interactive experiences are powerful. Not only in many of my forms, Within video games and visual and interactive novels, as well as role-playing, the player or reader is required to make choices that determine the direction the narrative takes. This results in an ownership over the actions of the narrative. A sense of agency that allows, oh, this is where I want the other quotes about identity, them to identify as the avatar. Not with them. This is a necessary distinction step. This is a necessary distinction for conveying the embodied experience of mental illness. Hey, bring it back to the topic. Because if you do not if you identify with a character, you'll be observing their experience. If you identify as a character, you will be feeling their experience. Sometimes this is an illusion. In interactive and visual novels, the narrative... Oh no, it's not just those. Ah! I think maybe my key got stuck down. Sometimes this is an illusion, as we were saying. The narrative may actually be a limited set of branching paths, but to the player it will feel unlimited. It may feel unlimited because it doesn't always. Like, there are some this is the distinction I am looking for. I'm wondering if at this point I should introduce why I'm looking for that, but then that's coming back to impact. Now I'm gonna save that for the end. Cryptically, I might actually write the end now. Now you may be asking yourself what purpose behind understanding these things is. It's all very interesting, but what use does it have? And then I'm going to go to the bit about video games, and I'm going to copy I'm going to rewrite this so it's a bit less wordy, but I'm going to copy it. In Did I just zoom out a bit? I did. Study of the game found evidence that the game is helping people to better identify with, understand, and appreciate the difficulties of people experiencing psychosis. If we are not, you get situations like in the World of Darkness role-playing game. In the World of Darkness role-playing games, because I think it occurs in more than VTM. In these games, I'm just going to leave that as it is for now because I don't know how to shorten that. I'm going to see how long that... I'm going to actually try and time this now. This bit. And actually start the timer this time. Just because I want to know that big paragraph. I don't think I can cut it down, but I want to know how long it is. Now, you might be asking yourself what the purpose behind understanding these things is. It's all very interesting, but what use does it have? I've talked already about Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. A study of this game found evidence that the game is helping people to better identify with, understand, and appreciate the difficulties of people experiencing psychosis. This article in Frontiers in Psychology examined the impact of the game upon mental illness stigma, concluding that, quote, video games can reduce stigma as long as the portrayal shown in the game is not stigmatizing. And this is the very crux of looking for texts that have been produced by or in conjunction with the mentally ill. In order to accurately represent our experiences, we must be present in the conversation and creation of these texts. If we're not, you get symptoms like in the World of Darkness role-playing games. In these games, characters can acquire what are known as derangements, which are either supernatural effects or mundane mental illnesses such as PTSD, OCD, and DID. These are generally acquired through some form of trigger occurring in-game. However, they can also be used at character creation using the merits and flaws system. This means that in exchange for a mental illness, a character gains more points to spend on skills like combat or social prowess. This setup is clearly problematic and ableist. It builds upon the trope that disabled people are valued only because their disability is in exchange for some kind of gift. It's about a minute and a half, so that's okay. I did realise that I want to... get rid of that, and there was something else I wanted to get rid of as well. No, I think that's fine. Yeah, because I'm sort of looking at... I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Technology is going to be really quick though. And actually I could include multisensory within this. I feel like the structure I had is breaking down slightly as I'm continuing to write. Sorry, one moment. My upper back is seizing up. I'm just gonna sit here like some sort of weird bird for a moment. Oh god, what have I done? Okay. And so my plan basically is I'm going to write this out like in a written form, and then I will start mapping that to slides and working out, and it will involve then some rewriting, but I'll be able to work out how it's connected. This ownership and identity serves to improve the immersiveness of the experience. Now, where was that quote I had about flow state? Oh yeah, there was something about, yeah, okay. A lot of research in one of blah blah blah. I'm gonna start the sentence 5 different times. There is a strong relationship between immersion and flow state. A concept created by a person who I will refer to as Flow Dude. I can't do that. I just have to learn to pronounce his name. We're gonna look up how to pronounce his name.
Mihai Csikszentmihalyi.
That guy.
Mihai Csikszentmihalyi.
Csikszentmihalyi. Okay. I've also copied his name. Yeah. So that I don't need to find all of those old numbers. I'm just going to do his surname, because actually it turns out that because I just opened the Wikipedia page and got the pronunciation from there. Turns out in Hungarian they format names in the way that some Asian cultures use, of having the family name first. It's interesting. I should probably explain what flow state is. And it can colloquially be described as in the zone, which is clearly pretty much the same as immersion. Studies have found that video games provide all 4 preconditions for achieving flow state. Oh, really? I didn't know that at all. I thought it was specific to like Asian cultures, but that's super cool. I mean, it's really sad that it's taken me until I'm 33 to learn that, because that says a lot about the UK's inability to respect other people's cultural norms. But that's really interesting. I also feel bad for not knowing that because my best friend is Polish. Studies have found that video games provide all 4 preconditions for achieving flow state, such as good typing, such as scaling difficulty levels, providing actions that adjust to the player's capabilities. This is a real thing, by the way. This is so cool. So, actions that adjust to the player's capabilities is one of the 4 preconditions for achieving flow state, which is what having easy, medium, difficult settings are, and having loads of different options for difficulty. Like, I really like games that separate things, so you have a general casual, easy, medium, difficult, I hate myself, whatever, you know, whatever the difficulty settings might be called, but where they've then got things like you can have, but the level of things I fight scales to my level or doesn't scale to my level, or I've got aim assist on at this level, or that sort of thing, so that people can make it scale to their own capabilities, not just to like a general slider. And that's one of the reasons that it's really easy to get in the zone with video games, is that it fits so well with flow states. Have I heard of a streamer called Luality? Yes, I have. Yeah. I follow her, in fact. Sorry, I'm just looking at some of my notes whilst I try and work out how to phrase this next bit. Cat, are you trying to get in? No. She was just attacking my door. Right. Yeah, definitely. I've only like caught a couple of her streams, but I've watched like where she's put out videos of like big boss kills and stuff. And it's so interesting. Yeah, in terms of accessibility controls and just the creativity and imagination that people put into all kinds of alternate input forms. There's a guy on Twitch that plays games with one button. I can't remember what his name is, but like he'll play through games with only one button, and I can't remember who it is. But like people doing stuff like that is so cool, and I think like accessible controls and stuff are just as cool. In addition to me needing, so I don't need too much assistance in gaming on PC, other than just stopping when I'm in pain. But I find controllers really hard, and I particularly find the thumbsticks quite hard to use, especially over a long period of time. So I always put like all of the aim assists and stuff on if I'm playing on my PlayStation, and everything on easiest, because I just can't do it very well. So it's more accessible for me just to play on those settings and with those things. Last of Us 2, by the way, amazing for that sort of thing, because you can set everything separately, like I was talking about. I've still not finished it, but the accessibility settings were great. I got frustrated with a fight and I rage quit it like a month after it came out, and I've never gone back to it and finished it. It's really embarrassing. I think I tried once and then I noped out of it again. But I think that was partly because it was painful. Like, I say rage quit, but I also mean quit because I was causing myself harm. I thought I heard her. My door is not a door, it's like a weird plastic concertina thing. Our house is strange. So the cat will just like start attacking it if she wants to come in. And I've got the door to my office shut. Bless her. Right. I'm really having trouble knowing where I'm going with this. I don't know how I'm connecting it to the next thing. I think it's because I can't get this nice, like, smooth connection of all of the thoughts together, and that's annoying me. But I've only been working on this for like an hour and a half, so I shouldn't really be expecting that to have happened automatically. I don't know why I'm still doing this with my hands. Okay, I think because I want to actually mention something else. So this distinction in first person forms. Immersive interactivity also plays a key role in artists' books. Hi, Baby Shack. Interactivity also plays a key role in artist books, because an artist book is a physical artifact that must be handled. It's by its very nature interactive and immersive. Artists' books are handling artist books is a visceral experience grounding the sense of reality in the present moment. Yeah, I'm just going to copy that. Do I want to mention any other forms whilst I'm there? The experience when interacting with these experiences. Good sentence. Improve immersiveness when interacting with these experiences. It is immersion. This music's quite loud. I think it's just this one track of his. Like, I go through the whole stream and like everything's like a good level of sound, and then every now and then there's one that's just like a lot louder. Improve immersiveness when interacting with these experiences. Immersion is necessary to immersion. I'm trying to work out how to word. I know what I mean to say, but I've got to work out how to word it. Immersion is the very It is when you are immersed that you are experiencing rather than viewing. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. It is when you are immersed that you are experiencing rather than viewing. All of the forms I am looking at immerse the player or reader in some form. And use the nature of that immersion to control the reader's experience. I'm going to come back to flow state because I want to give the in the interactive novel Depression quest. By giving and restricting the reader's agency, Depression Quest simulates the experience of living with depression, where things that seem that should be possible seem instead to be impossible. That's a good. Maybe I'll put simulates the frustration of living with depression. I want to use there's a comics example about I'm just going to copy this over so I can then edit it down. Well, it's time to take more medication. The thing with streaming at this time of day is you get to see just how many tablets I have to take through the morning. Give me just... I'm just going to finish this sentence, this edit, and then I'll do it. I'm not sure why I'm asking you to wait when my phone is the thing that's going to continue whining at me. Another key aspect of immersion into the experience of mental illness, into the embodied experience. I've not said the word embodied for a while, everyone. It's time to quickly add it in. I don't need to mention the that's just another idea I don't need. Just one sentence. It's one sentence. I'll keep it in. As you might have noticed, this is so long. I think I'm getting to the point where I might have hit 10 minutes. We're going to have to go through and talk. Hang on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out. I'm going to yeet that down there, and then we're going to try timing this once I've taken all of my meds, because then I'll be able to see where I am. Failing at closing pill bottles. To be fair, my hands are quite painful. She says having given herself a task to type loads of things. Okay. Let's give this a go. Something I did earlier when I was recording, when I was timing the whole write-up, is I put it face down, which meant I didn't realise that I'd gotten to 30 minutes long. Okay, so basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna perform this whole thing. We'll see how long it is. I can then decide if I want to put some more of this stuff in, if I need to edit any of this down, if I want to do a combination of both. But I'll actually have an idea of what I'm doing then. Hello, I'm Rebecca, and I'm using my PhD as an excuse to play video games, read comics, and write fanfiction. I'm also looking for a way to express my severe and chronic mental illness. Because if there's one common theme among people with mental illness, it's that we're all desperately struggling for ways to explain ourselves to others. I can explain my symptoms to you in isolation, but that doesn't tell you what it feels like to have those symptoms, and it definitely doesn't tell you what it's like to have those symptoms every day for your entire life. My PhD thesis explores a selection of media forms that I believe can show you what it's like to live like I do. Media that is immersive enough to make you feel like me, interactive enough to make you act like me, and multisensory enough to make it believable. Media that can connect you so deeply to my experience that you feel, for a short while and in a safe way, like you are living it. Now, this can't convey the experience of my illness entirely, you still remain fundamentally yourself, but it comes a lot closer than just listing how symptoms work. So today I'm going to give you an overview of the themes I am looking at and how they relate to my media forms. Perhaps the most important theme in my research is interactivity. The moment you start interacting directly and actively with something, rather than passively consuming like with standard books or films, your experience of the interaction is heightened. Interactive experiences are powerful. Within video games and visual and interactive novels, as well as role-playing, the player, or reader, is required to make choices that determine the direction the narrative takes. Sometimes this is an illusion. The narrative may actually be a limited set of branching paths, but to the player it may feel unlimited. This results in an ownership over the actions of the narrative, a sense of agency that allows them to identify as the avatar, not with them. This is a necessary distinction for conveying the embodied experience of mental illness, because if you identify with a character, you will be observing their experience. If you identify as a character, you will be feeling their experience. And this is the distinction I am looking for in first-person forms. Interactivity also plays a key role in artist books. Because an artist book is a physical artifact that must be handled, it is by its very nature interactive and immersive, qualities that place it alongside these other mediums such as video games that might otherwise seem a decidedly strange comparison. But handling artist books is a visceral experience, grounding the sense of reality in the present moment. The responsibility that is added in as the handler of such a unique object only serves to heighten that experience. You own your interactions. This ownership and identity serves to improve immersiveness when interacting with these experiences. It is when you are immersed that you are experiencing rather than viewing, and all of the forms I am looking at immerse the player or reader in some form, and use the nature of that immersion to control the player's experience. In the interactive novel Depression Quest, the player attempts to get through life as a person with severe depression. Cleverly, the text displays but takes away certain options. By both giving and restricting the reader's agency, Depression Quest simulates the frustration of living with depression, where things that should be possible seem instead to be impossible. Comics can effectively navigate the question of temporal continuity or distortion, another key aspect of immersion into the embodied experience of mental illness. Ali Brosh's Solutions and Other Problems gives an excellent example of the representation of crip time, as it's often called, in pages 198 to 209. Following the reveal of Brosh's sister's abrupt death by suicide on page 197, the comic goes into a dozen pages that lack any text whatsoever, showing only a collection of images of Brosh and her sister as young children. The pages do not have page numbers, unlike the rest of the book, indicating a deliberate choice to sever the reader from temporal continuity, trapping them in the non-temporal experience of grief. This is made all the more immersive by Brosh's childlike drawing style, which plays on the cartoon's ability to cause a reader to see themselves in the page rather than another person. As you might have noticed, there is a strong relationship between immersion and flow state, a concept created by Csikszentmihalyi. It can colloquially be described as being in the zone, which is pretty much the same as immersion. And studies have found that video games provide all four preconditions for achieving flow state, such as scaling difficulty levels, providing actions that adjust to the player's capabilities. Now, you might be asking yourself what the purpose behind understanding these things. It's all very interesting, but what use does it have? Now, I've talked already about Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I haven't yet, but I need to add that in. A study of this game found evidence that the game is helping people to better identify with, understand, and appreciate the difficulties of people experiencing psychosis. This article examined the impact of the game upon mental illness stigma, concluding that, and I quote, Video games can reduce stigma as long as the portrayal shown in the game is not stigmatizing. This is the very crux of looking for texts that have been produced by or in conjunction with the mentally ill. In order to accurately represent our experiences, we must be present in the conversation of and creation of these texts. If we are not, you get situations like in the World of Darkness role-playing game. In these games, characters can acquire what are known as derangements, which are either supernatural effects or mundane mental illnesses such as PTSD, OCD, and DID. These are generally acquired through some form of trigger occurring in-game. However, they can also be used at character creation using the merits and flaws system. This means that in exchange for a mental illness, a character gains some points to spend on skills, like combat or social prowess. This setup is clearly problematic and ableist. It builds upon the trope that disabled people are valuable only because their disability is in exchange for some kind of gift. Okay. Realised that I forgot to tell my phone that I had taken that medication. 6:42. Oh no, I'm flipped. I'm flipped back to front in this one. You can't. Oh, it's gone off now as well. 6:42. Also, it's so reflective that you can't see the number anyway, so I don't know why I tried. That's good. That's good because it means that I can go through this and I really want to add in the stuff about simulating symptoms from Hellblade because that's a really cool thing. That I can potentially lead on to technology with. What are the other preconditions for achieving flow state? Oh, someone else proposed 7. So... I mean, I'm only looking at the Wikipedia page right now. I'm not looking at the proper study. Okay. Okay. I think I need to look that up. I didn't actually know that flow state was all related to positive psychology as well. That's interesting. Oh, here we go. This has 3 conditions. 3 conditions that have to be met to achieve a flow state. But then there's a whole load of other variations on those preconditions. So I might actually take this bit out because it looks like I need to look at that more, and I need to, rather than just taking it all from this chapter of this book that I read on flow state and mindfulness and video games, I need to go back and look at the original and see, because this is someone's interpretation of it that's clearly not a deviation from the text and not wrong, but like it's reworded in a way that I could then be misinterpreting it because it's a rewording of an original. So I need to go through and look at that properly. So I'm going to take flow state out. Just of this, not of my whole thesis. because I've just realised that flow state has a relationship to crypt time and temporal continuity and distortion, so that's the whole thing unto itself. I really want to mention fanfiction as well, so I'm just going to put in here, I want to put Hellblade and simulating symptoms, multisensory and technology. I want, because I want to mention VR there. And then, yeah, I want to mention fanfiction and interaction in a third space. Interactive access to text. Probably by the time I've done both of those, so the AO3's technological development then as well. I've done agency gives mode. Yeah, I've just put that in. That's in already. Could I then mention the TCP example? Group immersion. I think that might be. I think I kind of want to mention the gaps and biases in research. And then I think once I've got all of that done, I think that's it put together textually. I will then move to putting things together in terms of the actual slides and stuff. But I'm definitely finding now that my attention span has dropped off. I'm kind of dissociating a bit. So I'm probably gonna wrap it up there so I can go and work out why I have achieved the less positive flip side to flow state, which is not really having any sense of where I am or what's going on. So I'm okay, by the way. It's as much me catching these things early rather than continuing to zone out in this situation. But that's awesome. That's got that pretty much done. I can finish that off either later today or tomorrow or whenever I end up wanting to. And that's awesome because it's got it written. Then I can get working on the slides, adjust it any way that I need to, start timing it and practicing it. My mentor has volunteered to be like a test dummy for it, so I can perform it to her in one of our sessions before the actual presentation, which is really cool. That's super helpful. So that's the plan in terms of that. In terms of when I'm next going to stream, I definitely won't be streaming tomorrow because tomorrow is a therapy day for me, but I will be here on Wednesday at 10 a.m. And we'll see whether I'm also here on Thursday as well as Friday. But we will likely play some more Hellblade that day because I really want to push on and get through Hellblade. We need to find out how horribly we're going to die fighting Cert, or bargaining with Cert, or whatever it is we end up needing to do. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there for now. Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for the chatting. Thank you for just being interested in listening to me ramble about my PhD and put a presentation together. Thank you all for your feedback as well. That's been really helpful. And it helps me doing it in this sort of situation, because this is also like rehearsing for doing it in front of people, because I have been doing it in front of people. So thank you all very much for being here and for coming. I will see you all on Wednesday. Take care of yourselves and have a lovely rest of your day.